I had barely put the third box down on the porch when I heard heels clicking on concrete behind me. "Excuse me?" A tight, polite voice. Too polite, I turned. A woman in a lemon-colored blouse and white slacks stood at the edge of my driveway. Arms folded, smile strained. "HOA, energy radiating like static, yeah?" Her head tilted slightly. "Are you ... with the moving crew?" I blinked. "No." Her smile didn't move, but something in her eyes sharpened. "I own this place." She paused like she was processing that. Then a small, incredulous laugh slipped out. "Oh, you do?" I nodded slowly, wiping sweat off my forehead. "Yeah, just closed last week." Jaden Carter. "Right," she said, drawing the word out like gum stuck on her shoe. "I'm Karen Willis, HOA president." Of course she is. She stepped a little closer, eyeing the open U-Haul. Strange. We usually get notified before any property changes. "Hands," I forced a smile. "I guess the previous owners didn't get the memo, but I've got the keys and the deed, so ... Her gaze darted to the porch, to the boxes, then back to me. "You understand this is a private community, right?" I folded my arms. "You understand I'm standing on my property?" She blinked. Her lips twitched. "I'm just saying," she said, her tone now coated in sugar. "We've had issues before, break-ins, noise, unapproved renters." "Noted," my voice was flat, "but I'm not one of those. I'm the guy who spent half a decade saving to buy this view." Karen's eyes narrowed just a bit before she pulled out her phone and gave me a quick smile. "Well, welcome to the neighborhood." She walked off. But not before I saw her typing something into her screen. 15 minutes later, a patrol car crawled into the cul-de-sac. "You've got to be kidding me. I was setting up the mailbox when he got out." Middle-aged white guy, aviators, hand resting casually near his belt. "Afternoon," he said. I didn't move. "Let me guess. Someone called about a suspicious black man near a porch?" He gave a small, uncomfortable chuckle. "Got a call about a possible break-in, just routine." "Yeah, huh? Can I ask for ID?" "Sure," I said, walking slowly to the steps. "Want the deed too? Or just my driver's license? Whatever you've got is fine." I handed him my wallet. "Jaden Carter, that house is mine." He looked over my ID, then glanced at the for sale sign half pulled from the ground. "You just moved in?" "Today," he handed the ID back. "Everything seems in order." "Did Karen call you?" He hesitated. "I can't share that." "Right," I muttered. "Because it's totally normal for someone moving into their own home to be greeted by flashing lights." He looked at me. For a second, the cop face cracked. "Off the record?" He said, "Yeah, it's messed up, but I still have to show." "Up, must be exhausting, playing both sides." He didn't reply. Just tipped his head toward the patrol car. "Have a good evening, Mr. Carter." As he drove off, Karen was across the street, watering her already wet flowers. She looked up, feigning surprise. "Everything okay?" I stared at her. "Peachy. I just thought..." "Better safe than sorry." I took a step forward. My voice was calm, but it cost me something. "Don't pretend you were scared." "You weren't. You just didn't like the idea of someone like me living next to you?" She blinked. "Excuse me? You heard me." Karen's lips tightened. "If you have a problem, I'd be happy to refer you to the HOA complaint process." I laughed, sharp, bitter. "I'm the problem now, right?" I shook my head. "You didn't even wait a full hour." "You're being aggressive." "I'm being honest." Silence stretched between us. Then she turned, muttering something under her breath. I couldn't hear it. Maybe I didn't need to. I stood there, sweat stinging my eyes, watching the patrol car tail lights vanish behind the trees. This wasn't how it was supposed to start, but maybe, deep down, I always knew it would. The sign on the clubhouse door read, HOA monthly meeting, 7 p.m. I checked my watch. 6:59. I opened the door and stepped inside. The moment I walked in, the room snapped quiet like someone had hit a mute button. Half a dozen folding chairs, coffee in a thermos on a plastic table, papers spread across a clipboard. Everyone stared at me like I'd just wandered in from a different planet. Karen cleared her throat. "Can we help you with something?" I let the door close behind me. "I'm here for the meeting." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. This is a members-only discussion. Perhaps wait outside until we're done? I am a member, I said, keeping my voice level. Paid my HOA dues the day after I closed. Want to see the receipt? Brian shifted in his seat. It's fine, Karen. Let him stay. Karen glanced at him like he'd just committed treason. It's not about him. It's about procedure. I took a seat in the back, slow and deliberate. Try again, she turned to the group. Let's get started then. Mrs. Granger whispered something to her husband, then turned and looked me up and down. Her voice was a little too loud for a whisper. These people always bring drama. I smiled without warmth. Nice to meet you too. No one laughed. No one looked my way. Brian coughed, shuffled his papers. Karen began the meeting. So, item 1, lawn decor guidelines. We've noticed an uptick in non-compliant displays, garden flags, solar lights, and so forth. I raised my hand. Is that directed at someone specific? Karen didn't even glance at me. This is a general reminder. Because I'm the only one with solar lights on the block, I said. So let's not pretend this is random. She finally looked at me. Mr. Carter, please let me finish the agenda. I leaned back. I'm listening. Just making sure we're not hiding behind guidelines when we mean something else. Brian scratched the back of his neck. Maybe we move to item 2? Karen nodded stiffly. Fine, tree trimming ordinance. A few homeowners have trimmed their oaks without prior written approval. I crossed my arms. I have the email. I asked 3 days before I trimmed. Karen didn't respond. Mrs. Granger spoke. Again, maybe if people bothered to learn the rules before rushing to make changes, I cut in. Maybe if people bothered to read the bylaws, they'd know those trees were mine to maintain. Her husband finally said something. Let's not make this personal. I locked eyes with him. It already is? No one said anything for a beat. I could feel it, the quiet tension they didn't know what to do with. They wanted me to be angry, loud, disrespectful, so they could point at it and say, see? But I didn't give them that. Karen looked down at the papers again, flipping a page even though she wasn't reading. Meeting adjourned. Just like that, no closing, no vote? Just an escape hatch. Brian stood first. Jaden, I stood up too. Don't, not here. He lowered his head. As I walked toward the door, I passed Karen. She didn't move. She didn't meet my eyes. I paused, inches from her. Next time you want to silence me, I said softly. You'll need more than HOA jargon and fake smiles. Her lips parted, but I was already out the door. The cool air hit my face like a slap. I sat in my car and stared at the wheel for a long time. They didn't yell. They didn't threaten. They didn't even raise their voices. But I heard them loud and clear. The knock came just as I was fixing the cabinet hinge for the 3rd time. 3 soft taps. No doorbell. That hesitation kind of knocked out. I opened it to find her, Ella. The woman with the corner garden and always too long eye contact, I heard. What they're saying, she said, eyes darting behind me like someone might be listening. I didn't move from the doorway. Let me guess, drug dealer? Squatter? Threat to property values? She flinched. Worse, I tilted my head. Define worse. They think you forged the paperwork, that you used someone else's credit, that this, she gestured, vaguely at the porch, was part of some scam. I laughed, sharp and hollow. Creative, I'll give them that. She looked down. I'm sorry. You didn't say it? No, but I didn't stop it either, her voice cracked. At the meeting, I should have said something. I stepped aside. You want to come in and keep apologizing, or is this a drive-by confession? She hesitated, then stepped in. Her eyes lingered on the boxes I hadn't unpacked yet. I didn't think it'd get this ugly, she said softly. I did. I shut the door. I've seen this movie before. Only thing missing is a noose in the tree and a cross on fire. She winced. That's not fair. It's not. I turned. They called the cops on me before I had a couch. I've been fined, whispered about, stared at. Tell me what part's not fair. She sat on the edge of the armrest, hands clasped like she was in church. They think you don't belong. I know, I rubbed the bridge of my nose. I live it. Every time I open my blinds. A long pause. Then her voice, soft. What made you choose here? I looked at her. I wanted peace. The silence that followed was heavy. I thought buying a lakefront home would finally mean I'd made it. That maybe if I had the degree, the job, the down payment, they'd see me as someone who belonged. My throat burned. Turns out, none of that matters. She swallowed hard. You do belong. Don't say that if you're not ready to defend it at the next HOA ambush. She didn't respond. Later that evening, I walked down to the dock, just to breathe. 3 kids were there, kicking at the water. When they saw me, one nudged the other. That's him, the taller boy said. The guy from the house. I tried. T.O. smile. Evening. The smallest one stepped behind the others. My mom said not to go near that house. The boy said, not even pretending to lower his voice. I stared at him. At all of them. Did your mom say why? He shrugged. Just said it's dangerous. I crouched near the dock edge, my back to them. Tell your mom the most dangerous thing I've got is a hammer and a bad attitude. They didn't laugh. Footsteps crunched behind me a few minutes later. Ella again. I saw them whispering. I thought maybe, I don't know. You thought right. She looked out over the water. Do you want me to talk to the parents? I shook my head. No, that's not how this works. You say something, you're dramatic. I say something, I'm the angry black guy. She turned. Then what can you do? I looked up at the sky, fading orange. Same sky no matter where you stood. Outlast them, I said quietly. Outlive the whisper. The moment I saw Karen walking across my lawn in heels, clipboard in hand, I knew something was coming. She didn't even wait for a hello. You can't just tear up grass and dump gravel wherever you feel like it. I stood beside my half-finish walkway. I submitted the plans to the board. It's a path, Karen, not a nightclub. Her voice tightened. It's not in compliance? No prior written approval. That's a finable offense. I pulled out my phone and hit record. Want to say that again? She blinked. Excuse me? I kept the camera steady. Say exactly what you just said. The part where you came onto. My property uninvited and made up a rule. Karen crossed her arms. You people think rules don't apply to you. My stomach nodded. But I stayed still, calm. There it is, I said softly. I want that on camera. She hesitated, then looked away. You're twisting my words. No, I said, lowering the phone. You're just not used to being recorded. She pointed toward the gravel. Remove it by Monday. Or we'll escalate. Go ahead, I muttered. I'd love to see you try. She walked off like she won something. I uploaded the clip an hour later. No caption. Just Lakewood HOA, day 19, by morning. My notifications were on fire, comments, shares, DMs from strangers and blue check accounts. I didn't follow. My phone buzzed again, Marcus. Dude, you're viral, I sighed. That fast? Twitter's kooking her. Someone found her real estate license. TikTok's remixing her rant with trap beats. I sat on the porch, blinking at the screen. I didn't want this. You wanted peace. She gave you war. Now everyone's watching. I looked out at the lake, still quiet. Feels weird, I said. Like, I'm finally seen, but not for what I built, just for surviving her mouth. Marcus. Paused. You okay? Not really. Ella knocked on my door that afternoon. Her face was pale. Have you seen the Facebook group? She asked. I try not to poison myself on purpose. They're accusing you of targeting her, saying you edited the video. I laughed bitterly. Of course they are. She said you intimidated her. That you weaponized your race? My chest tightened. Weaponized? Ella nodded slowly. I told them they were wrong, but they're angry. A few said they're filing complaints. One guy mentioned making the neighborhood great again. I closed my eyes. This isn't justice, I said. It's theater. You're not the villain here. No, I whispered. But I'm the one with the spotlight, and they're already sharpening the pitchforks. 2 days later, someone threw eggs at my front door. No note, just mess. I didn't call the cops. I cleaned it myself. Silent, focused. Ella watched from across the street. She didn't wave. just stared, arms folded, like she didn't know which side she was standing on anymore. I didn't blame her. The video bought me attention. It didn't buy me peace. I found the fence splinter just past sunrise. Slats cracked, paint smeared in red, get out scrawled like a scream across my property line. I didn't feel angry. Not at first, just tired. Like something inside me finally gave up on the idea that decency might walk through that door next. I didn't call the cops, but the AO called me. Karen's voice was already sharp when I stepped into the clubhouse. "We reviewed the footage from your security camera," she said. "There's no clear perpetrator, but the vandalism, while unfortunate, has escalated tensions in the community." I folded my arms. "You mean someone defaced my property and I'm now the problem?" "We're issuing a fine for community disruption, $500, I laughed. "You're fining me for being vandalized?" "You've created division, Mr. Carter, the media attention. The clip, the constant online harassment directed at our board. You're threatening the harmony here," she added. "Harmony?" I took a step forward. "You mean your version of harmony, silent, white, and scared of anything different?" Karen's lips thinned. "This isn't about race." I almost respected the speed of that lie. "You can't fix what you won't even name." Brian cleared his throat from the corner. "Maybe we could reduce the fine. Just don't," I snapped. "Don't offer crumbs and call it compromise." He fell quiet. I turned to Karen. "Let me be clear. You can paint me as a problem all you want, but I'm not going anywhere." Her eyes didn't flinch, but her silence did. Ella came by later. "With a clipboard, I filed a complaint on your behalf," she said, holding it out. "Formal? Documented, cited community bylaws and state discrimination codes?" I stared at the paper. "That's a lot of fire to walk into." "I'm already burning," she said. "Might as well walk through it with purpose." I nodded. My voice barely made it out. "Thank you." She looked me straight in the eye. "They're going to hate me for this." "They already do," I said. "Now they'll just say it louder." That night, a knock. Officer Riley. No lights, no radio. Just him on my porch, hat in hand. "Mind if I come in?" he asked. I nodded slowly and opened the door. He stood by the window, glancing at the busted fence. "Off the record. What they're doing isn't right." I didn't respond. He turned toward me. "I saw the body cam footage from the call. The first day, the things she said to you. I should have done more. Too late now, I know." We stood in silence for a few moments before he added, "There's only so much I can say in uniform." "Then say it without it," I said. He looked at me. "I see you," he said softly. "Even if they won't." They thought vandalism would scare me, that fines would break me, that silence would erase me, but it only made me louder. Not with shouting, but with presence. And presence, in a place that didn't want you visible, was the loudest resistance of all. "Are you ready for this?" my lawyer asked, her voice low as the bailiff opened the door. I adjusted my collar. "Not even a little." Karen was already seated across the aisle, perfectly composed. Like this was a fundraiser, not a civil suit. Her hair was pulled back, pearl earrings, folders neat in front of her. She looked comfortable. I took my seat and stared at the table. The judge entered. "Court is now in session." My lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we're here today to address the repeated and targeted harassment of my client, Mr. Jaden Carter, by the Lakewood Homeowners Association and its board." Karen leaned over and whispered something to her attorney. He smiled, nodded. I kept my eyes forward. The judge flipped through the file. "We'll begin with opening statements." Karen's lawyer stood first. "Your Honor, this is not a case of racism or targeting. Mr. Carter moved into a quiet, private community and from day one chose to antagonize the people around him. The AO simply followed protocol." I felt my jaw tighten. He was fined for legitimate violations, unapproved alterations, failure to adhere to aesthetic regulations, and multiple breaches of decorum that created unrest in the neighborhood. I leaned to my lawyer. "Is decorum legal speak for breathing while black?" She didn't smile. When it was our turn, she stood slowly. "What we're going to show today," she said clearly, "is a pattern of punishment that had nothing To do with property and everything to do with prejudice? The judge raised an eyebrow. Proceed. They pulled up the documents, emails, fines, HOA complaints. The numbers spoke louder than I ever could. Here, my lawyer pointed, is a record of every fine issued in the last 5 years. 83% were directed at non-white homeowners. Only 2 white residents ever received more than 1 infraction, and both had them waived. Karen shifted in her seat. And this, she added, is video evidence of Ms. Willis confronting Mr. Carter with language that frankly needs no explanation. The judge leaned closer to the monitor. You people think rules don't apply to you? Karen's voice played back, cold and flat through the courtroom speakers. My skin crawled. Hearing it again in that space felt different, like it stripped the pretense off her. Karen's lawyer stood. Your Honor, the context was, the judge held up a hand. I heard the context. Karen exhaled sharply, loud enough to turn heads. He's just angry we held him accountable. She said louder than she meant to. I turned, heart pounding. Accountable for what? Existing. Her mouth opened. No words came out. You didn't want order. You wanted obedience. You wanted me invisible. Karen stood abruptly. This was supposed to be our space. Silence. You could hear the hum of the AC unit overhead. The judge looked directly at her. Miss Willis, please control yourself. I stood too. My hands trembled, but I spoke anyway. You should have built a gate, I said quietly. But don't call it community while locking the rest of us out. Karen's face drained of color. My lawyer gently tugged my sleeve. Sit, you said enough. The judge cleared his throat. The evidence here is not only compelling, it's disturbing. The court finds in favor of Mr. Carter. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for months. I will vacate all fines. Issue a formal apology and be subject to independent review for discriminatory conduct. The judge concluded. Karen turned to leave, her heels clicking faster than usual. She didn't look at me. That was the first time she didn't. I heard her. Before I saw her dot the soft crunch of cautious footsteps on gravel, the pause at the first step of my porch, then a knock too short. One long, hesitant, like she wasn't sure she should be here. I opened the door. There she was. Karen, hair pulled back. No clipboard this time. No pearls, just a tight expression and a folded piece of paper in her hand. She started, then stopped. I thought maybe I didn't say anything. She looked at the floor. I was raised a certain way. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. My arms folded across my chest without thinking. You didn't mean it? Her eyes flicked up. It was never personal. It was always personal, she flinched. I was, trying to protect what we had, the culture, the community. No, I said, keeping my voice low. You were protecting your comfort. That's different. She stepped forward, but I didn't move. You have to understand, she said, voice trembling. I lost everything. I stared at her. You lost your power, I said. That's not the same as losing everything. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Not yet. I've been getting threats, she whispered. People online. Even from within the board, I nodded once. Sounds familiar. I can't go to the grocery store without someone recognizing me. I couldn't move into my house without a patrol car showing up. She blinked fast. I'm sorry. You're sorry you lost. You're sorry it got loud. But you're not sorry for what you believed. That's not true, she said, her voice cracking. I didn't realize how wrong it was until you were dragged into the light. I interrupted. She looked down again. I thought you'd forgive me, she said quietly. I shook my head. You thought I'd be grateful you came to my porch with sad eyes and a folded apology. I wanted to do the right thing. No, you wanted closure. I stepped back, let the door frame hold me steady. You built your house on exclusion, I said. On whispers and fences and unspoken rules. I just wanted to live. She wiped her cheek with her sleeve. I don't know how to fix it. Good, I said, because maybe you're not supposed to. The wind moved between us like breath. She nodded once, tucked the paper into her jacket, and turned. Tears fell freely now. She walked down the steps. I didn't stop her.